Have you ever looked at someone, maybe a politician on TV or a powerful CEO, and thought something just seems off? It's a strange feeling, hard to put your finger on. They say all the right things, they smile at the right times, but there's a coldness in their eyes, a flicker of something not quite human. What if that gut feeling is more than just a weird vibe? What if it's your ancient primal brain picking up on a signal that something is fundamentally different about them? This isn't just about disagreeing with their policies or their business practices. It's a deeper, more unsettling question about who or what is actually pulling the strings in our world. This rabbit hole goes deep, man. We're talking about the reptilian conspiracy theory. It sounds wild, I get it. The basic idea, pushed into the mainstream by guys like David Icke, is that a race of shape-shifting, reptilian humanoids from another dimension has been living among us for thousands of years. They hold the highest positions of power. We're talking royalty, presidents, global business leaders, you name it. They supposedly feed on negative energy and have been secretly manipulating human society since the dawn of civilization to keep us in a constant state of fear and conflict. It's a crazy thought, but is it any crazier than some of the other stuff we've found out to be true? Think about it. We live in a world where things often don't make sense. We see endless wars, financial systems that seem designed to benefit a tiny few, and a media landscape that constantly pushes division and anxiety. The official explanations never quite add up. They feel hollow. So people start looking for other answers, for a framework that can explain the chaos. The reptilian theory offers one such explanation. It suggests that the perpetual turmoil we see isn't just a series of random, unfortunate events. Instead, it might be a carefully managed farm, a system designed by these hidden entities to keep their food source, our negative emotions, plentiful. Now, before you completely write this off as science fiction, just hang with me for a minute. The goal here isn't to convince you that your boss is a lizard person, although that might explain a few things. The goal is to keep an open mind. We should be able to explore these fringe ideas without fear of ridicule. History is filled with crazy ideas that eventually turned out to be true. Questioning the nature of our reality and the power structures that govern us is one of the most important things we can do. So, let's just entertain the possibility. Let's pull on this thread and see where it leads, because the journey down the rabbit hole is often more interesting than the destination. This idea of serpent gods or reptilian beings isn't new. It's actually ancient. You can find it woven into the myths and legends of cultures all over the world. Look at the Nagas in Hinduism and Buddhism, described as powerful serpentine beings who could take human form. The ancient Egyptians had the crocodile god Sobek. The Mayans and Aztecs worshipped Quetzalcoatl, a feathered serpent deity. These weren't just simple animal worship stories. These were tales of powerful, intelligent, non-human entities who interacted with humanity, often as gods or royalty. It makes you wonder if these ancient people were all just making up similar stories, or if they were documenting encounters with something real. The modern version of this theory really took off with David Icke, a former sports broadcaster who had a massive awakening, for lack of a better term. He connected the dots between these ancient myths and modern-day power structures. He proposed that these same reptilian bloodlines from antiquity are still in control today, passing their power down through generations. He claims they come from the Draco constellation, and that they've interbred with human families to create hybrid bloodlines that are easier to control and can maintain their positions in society without revealing their true nature. It's a mind-bending narrative that ties together everything from the Illuminati to the global banking system. Of course, the whole thing sounds completely insane on the surface. But Icky points to the obsession with bloodlines among the global elite, particularly European royalty, as a piece of the puzzle. Why are they so insular? Why the constant intermarrying to preserve the purity of their lineage? The conventional answer is about preserving wealth and power. But the reptilian theory offers a different, more bizarre explanation. They are trying to preserve the specific genetic traits that allow them to maintain their connection to their reptilian form and consciousness. It's a wild leap, but it's an interesting lens through which to view the strange behavior of the world's most powerful families. This is where it gets really interesting. The theory suggests that these beings operate on a different vibrational frequency than most humans. We can only perceive them in their human form because our senses are limited to a very narrow slice of the electromagnetic spectrum. However, some people might be more sensitive, or sometimes the holographic projection or human suit might glitch. This could explain why so many ancient traditions talk about developing spiritual sight or opening the third eye. It wasn't just about enlightenment, but about being able to see beyond the veil of our limited perception and recognize these entities for what they truly are. So, where's the proof? That's the million-dollar question. For believers, the evidence is all around us, but it's subtle. It's in the glitches. People have spent countless hours slowing down news footage of world leaders and celebrities, looking for anomalies. They point to moments where their eyes appear to have slit-like pupils for a split second, or where their tongues seem unnaturally long and quick. There are videos where people claim you can see a momentary distortion in the skin around the neck or jawline, as if a mask is slipping. Skeptics call this digital artifacting or video compression errors, which is probably what it is. But is it always? Then you have the first-hand accounts, the anecdotal evidence. There are thousands of stories out there from people who swear they've seen something. They talk about seeing a person's eyes shift from round to reptilian and back again in the blink of an eye. Some describe seeing a loved one or a person in authority momentarily reveal a scaly greenish patch of skin before it returns to normal. These witnesses are often dismissed as crazy or liars, but their stories are surprisingly consistent. They often describe a feeling of intense fear and a sense of being seen by something ancient and intelligent, something that knew they had been caught. Beyond the visual glitches, people point to the behavior of those in power. They seem to lack genuine empathy. Their decisions often lead to suffering and chaos, which, according to the theory, is the whole point. They need that low vibrational, negative energy to sustain themselves. Think about the cold, calculating logic behind some corporate or political decisions that devastate millions of lives for the sake of profit or control. Is that just human greed? Or is it the feeding strategy of a parasitic, non-human intelligence? It's a dark thought, but it provides a chillingly coherent explanation for a world that often seems inhumanly cruel. Another piece of so-called evidence is the symbolism. Proponents of the theory argue that these reptilian entities hide in plain sight, using symbols in corporate logos, architecture, and religious iconography. The serpent, the dragon, the all-seeing eye, these symbols are everywhere once you start looking for them. Is it just a coincidence that these ancient reptilian symbols are so prevalent in the branding of our most powerful institutions, from government agencies to banks to media companies? Or is it a way for the ruling class to subconsciously pay homage to their true masters or their own hidden nature? It's a fascinating trail of breadcrumbs to follow. Let's just play a game for a second. Let's pretend it's all true. Let's say a shape-shifting reptilian species is secretly running the planet. What would that even mean for us? The implications are staggering, man. It would mean that human history as we know it is a lie. It would mean our wars, our religions, our political systems, all of it, have been manipulated by an alien intelligence for its own benefit. Our entire reality would be a construct, a farm designed to harvest our emotions, That's a heavy concept to wrap your head around. It's the ultimate red pill. It would change everything about how we see ourselves and our place in the universe. The most terrifying implication is the idea of being a food source. Not for our flesh, but for our energy, our essence. If these beings feed on fear, hatred, and despair, it would explain why society is structured to produce so much of it. The 24-hour news cycle of terror, the manufactured political divisions, the economic anxiety that keeps everyone stressed out. It all starts to look less like incompetence and more like a deliberate, incredibly effective farming strategy. We are the livestock, and our negative emotions are the crop. It would mean that finding happiness, love, and peace isn't just a personal goal, it's an act of rebellion. But here's a flip side to that dark thought. If this were true, it would also mean we have a power they don't. If they need our negative energy, then they are dependent on us. We have the ability to starve them out. By choosing compassion over hatred, unity over division, and love over fear, we could theoretically cut off their food supply. It would be the most profound revolution in history, fought not with guns and bombs, but with a shift in human consciousness. Raising our collective vibration wouldn't just be a new age catchphrase, it would be our primary weapon in a cosmic war for our own sovereignty. It's a powerful and, honestly, kind of hopeful idea. Ultimately, whether you believe in lizard people or not is beside the point. The real value of exploring a theory like this is that it forces you to question everything. It makes you look at the world with fresh eyes and scrutinize the narratives we're fed every day. It encourages you to think critically about power, control, and the nature of reality itself. So, what do you think? Is it all just a crazy conspiracy theory, a modern-day myth to explain a chaotic world? Or is humanity part of a cosmic drama far stranger and more complex than we've ever been led to believe? The answers aren't easy, but the questions are definitely worth asking.